We've spotted a Vanquish soul top. You guys smash the living crap out of that subscribe button so you guys don't miss out on more on this content. The Trinidad and Tobago Nationals. This is really interesting to see these ratios. You had 3 Tempai Dragons leading the charge here, still showcasing that, you know, that and Snake Eyes both of these decks, maybe not in like the greatest high level of play, but they do battle back and back in, you know, for representation of these top spots. Now, we also had 2 Voiceless and 2 Kashtira. That's very, very interesting. A little bit of higher representation there than usual. Then we had, for your, I would say, midsection here, we had 1 Sprite, 1 Unchained, a Fire King, a Rescue Ace, a anti-meta deck, and a Vanquish Soul Duelist. Now, I'm going to be honest with you, you don't see a lot of Vanquish Soul out here. Vanquish Soul's kind of fallen to the wayside. So when we do see these oddities, as we're going to call them, it is very interesting to talk about. Let's pass on over those deck lists. All right, so winning our event here, dun 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 dun, it's always got to be something Snake Eyes. But this build leaves me something kind of interesting to talk about. The fact that they're actually main decking 2 Book of Eclipse here and then side decking the extra copy here kind of gives you a, maybe this is a good scenario to be playing. Of course, they went a little bit further with the standard Cashier package. Most builds have been 1-1, and then, you know, the 1 Birth and the 1 Ray Sloth, but they extended this out to go 2 still playing 1 Birth, and then, of course, triple Field Spell. Just once again kind of shows how good the Kashtira mid-range control options are, especially, you know, for a dex combo ability that this has to go for it. Outside of that, let's call it what it is. You know, we have seen way too much Kashtira out here, and we're going to continue to see a lot more of the Kashtira package being dropped into the Snake Eyes full power tier 0 meta gas machine. Well, you know, you can really play anything in this format with Snake Eyes. First up is our Voiceless Voice deck here. We're side decking the Pendulum Graph. Poor guy. I will say, seeing Pendulum Graph being used a little bit more has been kind of interesting just to see the developments in the format here. Now, this build is also playing a food show. Okay, I didn't have this on my bingo sheet, but if Fire has been looking at options to try to stall out the course of the meta, then why can't something like Voiceless Voice take advantage of this to ensure, you know, they also don't die? It can't be that hard to get multiple level 1s on the field so you can kind of stick around and do your thing, right? Okay. And we're also, Ghost Rocker still seeing some play here. We also have Mistaken Arrest down here in the side deck. That's another one of those good cards that I feel like you don't get the chance to really see the good value in anymore. Your meta just kind of bounces back and forth and goes, well, you know, sometimes the card's good, sometimes the card just is not good at all, but it's all about how much advantage you can generate. So this is our Sprite pile for this event. We are back to playing the Melfi package in here, which, honestly, the Melfies of the Forest is a very, very good card when, you know, you need to get this deck doing its thing. Also, the interactions that these cards have is essentially, you know, free beam outs and handling the little side situations that you need them to is good. We also have the double anglers with the triple beaver. Yes, the nimble package to get us our free little bodies so we can start Sprite combo. We're also playing 1 copy of the Iprea for the free draw power. We do have the 2 Fenrirs in here for the draw. We do have the Smashers. We are not playing the OTK card, honestly, probably for the better. I also like that we are playing the Mind Control in here as well to steal our opponent's crap. Outside of that, pretty honestly, this, if you saw Sprite like a couple blocks ago, this is what you were seeing. All right, ooh, Unchained. This is very, very cute to see. So Unchained getting the chance to kind of come back in the meta. You still are doing the Supreme King Gate stuff, because, I mean, this stuff is just free value for this. Especially, you know, there's the High King Kaiser is still getting the chance to do the Deuce. It's because Shavara's still kind of locked up in Purgatory, and I don't think we're going to get this back anytime soon, because Unchained Toolbox, or Fiend Box, is just kind of insane. This deck actually having a good showing out here does kind of give Unchained players some hope for the course of the meta. This build also has 2 built-in cross-out Detonators, and of course, you have plenty of hand traps to be pinging those on. Just kind of comes down to, what issue you think you're going to have, and I think this will probably be your biggest hindrance along the way. Honestly, even though you can play Shifter in this deck because we saw it for time, with your more modern era concepts for this deck, you don't really get that freedom anymore. Ooh, we have anti-meta. So this build is actually using a lot more of the Kashtira stuff than I would have expected to see. So basically, this deck's game plan here. This card right here is a extremely broken card because it says, I can still special summon, but your opponent cannot. Now, we do have things like this good card that do show some sort of counterplay to this, which is very disappointing that it does exist, but it's fine. And of course, we also have a base Kashtira plays in here to kind of give you some field control options. And, if you do open up like a full Horus package, having this in Fenrir set up is extremely stupid. I also see that we are doing the Overlord of Heliopolis down here for base defense plays. And the Cladis. I have not seen Cladis see any play at all, but since we are playing a rank 8 turbo deck, we have some very cool options available to us. That's awesome. All right, Tempai Dragons with, what in the world are you doing here? We have a Kaleido chick in here as well. I guess this is just one of those things that you're like, well, you know what? We're playing Tempai Dragon OTK. Let's put in one of our favorite cards into this deck just to kind of get the chance to do its thing. I also see we are playing a Waka Waka here, so we can kind of clean through any of those annoying trap cards that might be ruining our day, aka which floodgate did you open up, Duelist? Eating up a TC Boo, eating up, a skill drain or something across the opponent's field. I could see some crazy things here. Also, this build's playing Gravity Collapse. With all these dimensional barriers and things that can kind of ruin Tempai's day, actually having this be present as a, option to kind of slow down the course of the game, I think is pretty good. Okay. What else we got back here? Ooh, we have more Voiceless Voice for you. We're still back on the 2 Saravis and the 2 Skull Guardian. Nothing wrong with those ratios. Honestly, this build never really changes. You are so set in your ways for this deck. And it's such a consistent monster for how it wants to play its game. And I do want to say, maybe you could find some innovation. Every time I look at these lists, Pendulum Graph is the most interesting thing that comes up. Having that decision tree to go, hey, I want to play this, or I want to dedicate a slot to, maybe 1 Pendulum Graph, 2 Saravis. We've seen the ratios, but it looks like for this week's reporting that the double Saravis is back to stay this week. And as we kind of go forward, we'll wait and see if, Pendulum Graph maybe does get a chance to show up again. Who really knows? It's a week-by-week basis with this game. And, of course, we have more Tempai Dragons for you here. This builds back on the triple crossout designator here. Yeah, easy stuff, right? You want to be able to declare no ogring my field spell, no ash blossoming my Sengen Kaiman. I would like to play the game, please. That's the big thing you get with this. I also do think that this card is mandatory. Being able to walk into some of these matchups, bring out a Kawaki Maradrago against your opponent, have your opponent look at it and go, what in the crap is that, and why do I have to deal with that? That is the level of animosity that this card brings to the table for this deck. And, you got plenty of dragons you'll be revealing for a boy's maintenance cost. And then, of course, we have 2 Santa Claus to kind of clean up anything else that might be a long way. Outside of that, standard AF. 43 cards, though, is a little bit more than I'm used to seeing. Most people wouldn't dedicate huge, large numbers to this, so I do find that kind of interesting. And, of course, our Vanquish Soul Challenger. Choose your fighter. You want to be a big, angry dragon, man with jet thrusters, or, you can be the heavy Borga themselves. You have so many options to choose from in this deck, honestly. as a meta contender for right now. This deck has definitely fallen off. I will give a shout out down here to this combo. Being able to just stick 2 level 4s on the field and still turbo out Zeus for a double board clear, especially against roguish decks, very much will steal you some free games. And I do fully continue to expect to see, this deck be a pretty decent shutout. Also getting some free damage off of this steals you some games. So what do you guys think? Please leave a comment down below, tell me what you guys think, and I'll see your beautiful faces back here in a day, guys. Peace. Patrons, thank you.
Thank you so much for watching. Check out these other videos.